Are you safe out here?
Yes. I have my friends here.
Yeah.
The lady across the street, her husband smokes crack, but I try to keep an eye on her.
Some tech innovators are trying to help the homeless in cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Dallas.
We've built some technology that really has saved some lives and is changing the game on what people can do.
I just real quickly checked her case notes to see where I last saw her, because this is a new location.
But how can tech really help the homeless?
I have been homeless for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? What was it that happened?
My health. I mean, the money I had saved up, I lived a year and a half on it.
We're not doing this just to be cool. Innovation is not something we do because we want to be inventive. It's because we want to solve a problem. We find that 70% of our homeless population have cell phones, smartphones.
Yeah, you heard him right. 70% of the homeless people out here have cell phones.
They get them through different programs. The hierarchy of needs, the cell phone has moved up higher than a lot of other needs. It was in 2012 when we launched our first platform where we started tracking data on every single person we serve. And so we needed a platform that was mobile, worked on iPads and iPhones, would work behind a liquor store in the middle of a parking lot, take photos, track GPS coordinates, and track a copious amount of data.
All that data comes from a combination of machine learning and user input. It all helps Stan Gilbert and his colleague Marshall. They're part of an outreach team from OurCalling, following up on a request for help from someone named Carlos.
We got a call that there's somebody in Garland, in Garland,
Continue
and there's a lot of
straight,
folks up
then
there.
you stay in the right 2 lanes.
So you don't know anything about him?
No.
You just know where he is?
Yeah, I don't know his situation. Somebody's reached out either on his behalf or he's reached out. I'm gonna hang a second. Let's just check this guy right here.
But while we were riding with them, they find someone else, a man who needed some water, and in the same parking lot, a woman living in her van. Information about these people is input into OurCalling's database. Over the years, that database has also been incorporated into their app. The app not only has information for people trying to help the homeless, but also has information for the homeless themselves. Things like an accurate list of domestic violence or severe weather shelters for every city in the US.
People started downloading it outside of Dallas. And originally we only had a list of resources in Dallas. I mean, how would we know a list of shelters in cities across the country? Now it's got this curated list of almost 150,000 resources for the homeless, for people to be able to find food and shelter, rehab, detox, maybe a church to go to, maybe a place of security and safety, to know that they can do that through a little dinky app that we developed in Dallas. It's been, I guess, fulfilling and rewarding in a way that working in technology never could be.
Before he founded OurCalling, Wayne Walker worked in tech. He learned to code and did web development, but moved to Dallas because he wanted to attend seminary.
I really got tired of working on the next version of an app and really wanted to focus on the next version of a person. I thought that we would just completely cut off technology and just start working with people. Really was intended to go overseas, but fell in love with the homeless community in Dallas, especially those that sleep outside. They have the greatest needs and the least access to have those needs met. We've got shelters, which are great, but the majority of the homeless are not in shelters.
Wayne says for every one person in a shelter here, 4 others are sleeping outside. And he says this year, Dallas has the highest unsheltered population of any city in the southern US. And that's where a future version of OurCalling's app could make a crazy impact.
Eventually, we want nationwide, as you're already looking for shelters, to be able to see which one has available space. And more than just see if you have available space, maybe make a reservation, right? Kind of like an Airbnb, right? I want to stay in that place. We want to make sure 100% of those shelter beds are full.
Most shelters have available space that goes unused every night, while thousands of homeless sleep outside.
What we want to do is integrate this bed count tool so that all those shelters can daily report how many beds they have available. Because if the homeless are already using this app to find where the shelter is, they need to know if it's got room.
The Airbnb-type feature is being beta tested by a small group of organizations in Dallas. The workers at OurCalling helping connect unsheltered homeless with one of those unused beds. One problem? Shelters are already really busy. And for this feature to work, those shelters have to update their bed count every day, something they don't always do.
There's all kinds of people under all these bridges.
The invasion of technology into the homeless populations raised a question about privacy rights in a group that likely doesn't know how to protect themselves.
It's completely 100% privacy proof, because all it does is tell us that there's a lot of people in New York today looking for homeless shelters. It doesn't tell us if they're homeless, if they're not homeless, who they are, where they came from. And really, we're just collecting what people are allowing us to collect. If you want to give us a name, if you want to give us your cell phone number, we'll have access to be able to connect to you individually. If you don't, don't.
The technology's not only created a way to build better relationships with the homeless community, but also use data to drive best practices in how to help them.
The data is scary. We are in a worst case scenario with our homeless population growing. So yes, there are agencies that are doing stellar work. We've got to figure out how to pick up the pace.